Hello everyone, Ceri the Craft here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and I'm here with the 2023 April RachandBella Crafts collaboration called Show Some Style. Now, before we start, I need to explain something. At this point, I would normally show you a list of everyone who's contributing and the date and the theme of the videos are launching. You'll note it's not here. Also, I would hold up the front covers of the digital kits that we were allowed to use for this as well. And that's not here as well, because I was printing out all of the bits from the kits that I actually thought I would use, and thank goodness I printed them quite quickly. And then my printer stopped working, and I thought, oh, wait a minute, I must have run out of ink. Went into town, got some new ink, came back, put it in the machine, my printer printed 2 more pages and stopped dead. And it's never worked again since. So I can't print off the stuff I want to print, so I don't know what it is. I'm a bit technically challenged. It's saying something like IP address lost, and then when I followed the instructions and went through and loaded stuff back in, it's still not working. Currently, I don't have the time to mess with it. I need to do this video because the video launches tomorrow, and I've been struggling with this printer. So I'm going to do my best to tell you things without showing you. So we were allowed to work with some kits. One was called The Family by RachandBella Crafts, and one was the Welsh Ephemera kit, which is an add-on to the kit. That's also by RachandBella Crafts. They kindly supplied us with some background papers for collage and stuff like that, which is what you've been admiring in front of you. And then there's one more that I dipped in called Journals in Time, Botanical Labels. Now, these are the backgrounds. As you can see, I have been very busy. I mean, these are some of the tickets from the kit. These are some of the little labels of mine shot from the botanical ones. Again, these are little labels and things from the botanical, I believe it was. Because I can't get on, I can't print off exactly what it was. This, I think, was from the Welsh Ephemera kit. It was meant to make a family album, a historical album. So that shouldn't be in there, that's in the wrong place. So that's those. I printed those on paper, and I printed these on satin photo paper to make them look a little bit more like real photographs, as in they would have that slight shine to them. I believe these are from the botanical labels, because they're labels, and guess what? They're botanical. And I will show you a few more things, and these are what, actually, if I put those up the top, then I can just reach up for them. So these are the pieces I'm going to be dipping into whilst I'm doing this tutorial. Let's make some envelopes with the backgrounds they've got. So I'm going to do that as well for you, just in case you don't have envelopes, you don't want the envelopes that are coming with the kit. Maybe you want to do something else. I'll do a really quick tutorial on how to turn one of these, actually there it is, one of these into an envelope. So we'll do that. I will also try and link in the description. I remember a while ago, I think Rachel from RachandBella Crafts, I can't speak, Crafts, did a video on making envelopes. I seem to remember watching it at some point, so I'll go and trawl back through, and if I find that, I'll put that in the description box as well. But I will give you a really quick how-to of how I made this envelope. And then what am I working with? Okay, these are the envelopes that come with the kits. Now what I did is I thought, right, these are the envelopes. Now I printed them double-sided because I like the inside of my envelopes to look as interesting as the outside. You could have printed on copier paper and stuck the pieces of paper together before you cut them out. So I've tried to do 2 of each because the theme of this is, or the challenge for this is, that you show 2 styles. I think I chose botanical and vintage, so I've tried to do 2 envelopes, so I can do 1 botanical, 1 vintage of each. Whether I achieve that or not, I don't know. Again, the envelopes that come with the kit, and I thought, right, that way we're just using stuff that comes from the kits, although you can use stuff that you've got in your craft room. Where are the others? These are another 2 envelopes from the kit. I call these coin envelopes. There you go, that shows so at the top. I stuck 2 pieces of paper back to back. So this was, I think, coffee dyed paper on this one. My aim was to actually print out 1 envelope, cut it for you and show you how to stick it together. Guess what? Printer didn't work. Now I had a bit of a mental moment here. Coin envelope, spot the mistake. I stuck it upside down, but that's good. It'll show you how to rectify that. That's another thing I need to show you. What's this? Oh, this was the cutest little envelope. I loved this. And what I did is the front of this, I actually cut the front off and I turned it into a little journal card. It won't fit in there, obviously, unless I trim it down because it's the same size. Oh, it does. I must have trimmed it down. There you go. Don't listen to me, just watch me. And there was another one as well. Maybe this is the one that didn't fit in because I didn't trim it down. Seriously, I must have trimmed them down already. And then there was one more with a bit of a fancy lid to it. So these are the things I'm kind of working on. Can't remember what that's from. And then there was one more envelope there that I actually printed back to back. I printed twice and stuck them back to back to give me an interesting inside and outside. We're not doing that one, but these are the ones I'm working with. So I'm going to put those two to one side. And my aim is to try and use the ephemera only from the kit to create these. Now I did pull in a couple of things. Number one, I pulled in some clear botanical stickers just in case I can't find a flower large enough from the kit that I want to use, but I don't think I'm going to use them. I thought best have them at the hand anyway. I also pulled in some mini butterflies, so this size I think would look really, really good if you're using a smaller envelope, so I pulled those in. There are some butterflies in the kit, but they come on the stamps. So, I mean, I did cut around a few and cut the edges off them to give me a little label, but I wanted to actually have some other butterflies. And I also pulled out my box of butterflies because I think some of these might work should I need butterflies in this area here. So that's giving you a heads up on everything. Now, there are lots of videos out there on how to decorate envelopes. Am I going to show you something different? I don't know. So, first of all, let's make an envelope just for those of you who may not be familiar. So, right, that was pretty much going to be, I'll call that a vintage one. Let's see if I can find one that I would end up making into a botanical type one. Maybe that one. Okay, great collage fodder. When I printed these out, because of the way my printer works, I had a white edge. I just went and took the white edge off them. It does make the pages slightly smaller. For me, that doesn't matter because I usually make my journal covers to match my signatures or the other way around anyway. So let's put those to one side. So, first things first, I want to know that measurement. Now, my journal's signatures are about 8 1/4 inches tall because we work in A4 here in the UK. So I want to cut this down a bit because if I want this to go into my journal, whether it's in a tuck spot or whether it's in a belly band, I want to make sure that it would fit on a page. So I'm going to cut this down to 7 inches, I think. Let's go to 7 inches. There you go. Obviously, I'm giving you measurements, but the measurements you should be aware of are the measurements for your journals or your signature page or the page you're working on. So please don't marry these. These are just my measurements. Okay, so this is my overall one. Now I'm going to take, where did I put that ruler? I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to mark probably about 1 centimetre, which is just under 1/2 inch, I think that is. I'm going to put marks top and bottom. Top. Now you could eyeball this. I very often eyeball them, but the trouble with eyeballing is I don't always get it right. So that's side. I'm going to do the same here as well on one end. I'd only need to do it at one end though. Now, if you can guarantee you can fold a piece of paper exact, then go ahead and fold a piece of paper exact. But I'm going to show you a couple of tricks that maybe help you if you can't. I've marked my paper, so if I now put my metal ruler on those 2 marks and pray my fingernails are long enough, I should be able to lift up this, and I'm going to run my fingers back and forth. And what that means is when I press that down, I have got the right measurement all the way across. Okay, just as a thought for you. Another way to do this, now you could use a scoreboard, but I found with some papers, when you use a scoreboard, what happens is the scoring tool actually cuts through the paper. So I'm going to use my metal ruler again. It doesn't have to be a metal ruler. It can be any ruler you're choosing to use. And I am going to get my bone folder, and I'm going to use the edge of my bone folder, and I'm just going to run it up and down the edge of this a few times. Be careful you don't do it too often, because you can cut into the end of your own bone folder. That is just enough to give it a score, which means that when you fold it, it will fold over perfectly for you. Okay, so that's another way of doing that. Just run my fingers along there to flatten that out. And then the last but no means least one is same method again, but slightly different equipment. Using your ruler. Now, say you don't have a bone folder, which most of us do, but maybe you don't. If you've got something like a plastic ruler, you can come in with the edge of a plastic ruler, run it down once or twice, and that will also score your paper for you. Let's get rid of the glue book. It'll also score your paper for you enough to actually just be able to make a mark so you can fold it over. So that gives you some options as far as how to score if you don't have a scoreboard, or you don't want to use a scoreboard like me, or you actually don't have a bone folder. Basically, just gives you options. So I've now made a channel around all of it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to choose how much I want to fold the top down. Do you need a measurement? You know, maybe you do need a measurement. Let's say approximately 3 centimeters, which means I'm just going to fold this over. Because I've got nice straight edges, I know that if I fold this over at both edges, it should be fine. I'm just going to use the back of my nail instead of a scoreboard. Now, once I've done that, I'm going to take the piece that's got the folded up area, and I'm going to bring that up, and I'm going to bring it to, that's probably about 2 centimeters below the top. Not an exact measurement. No one's going to come and police your envelopes and make sure they're exact. They're your envelopes. You're creating them in your own style. So just pop that out of there because I've got a crease in it. So take a little more time than I'm doing, obviously, because I want to get to the decorating, but I just wanted you to see that. Then what you do is from here on in, it's relatively easy. I take the snip here where that fold is, and then I remove this area. Keep it a little bit, you never know when you'll need it. I don't really keep unnecessary pieces, but when I'm about to start a project, I might need to make maybe, what are they called? A cluster, and that would be a nice little piece in the cluster, you never know. So I've done that there. Now I'm cutting them on an angle on purpose. Let's just take that off there. So I'm going to cut this one at a slight angle, this one at a slight angle, then get a bigger pair of scissors, Griffiths, and then I'm going to cut up the edge of here on the inside of that score line. And inside of that score line. Now I know a lot of you are probably saying, Kerry, we all know how to make an envelope. I'm very conscious that there's always newbies out there. Maybe there's someone out there that doesn't know how to make one of these. So, right, we've got all of this prepped now. I'm going to come in. First thing I'm going to do is glue up this piece here. Now, I'm using art glitter glue for speed. You use whichever glue you're confident is going to hold paper. Press that down for a little bit just to get it completely and utterly smooth. Now, I'm going to grab myself a small craft punch. You don't need to do this section. It's up to you. So this is 1, 2, it's about there. It's not exact rocket science, but I'm going to come in and put a little bit of a notch in there. Now, the reason I folded this over is because this piece of the envelope is going to be open and closed, open and closed, open and closed. I want to make sure that it's actually got a bit of robustness about it, if there is such a word as robustness. I'm going to use some vintage photo distress ink just to give this top edge a little bit of character, because the envelope we're doing is going to benefit from some slightly aging effects. Now, when it comes to these pieces here, I'm going to fold this up just to give myself a sort of visual where the bottom comes to. It's not a huge problem if you overshoot the mark, but it helps if you get it right. So I'm going to put ink on, what am I talking about? I'm going to put a line of art glitter glue on the inside of the flap but I'm going to do a line on the outside of the folding up piece. And I do that so there's a double layer of ink, fold it over, give it a bit of a squish down. Oh, overshot the mark there horribly. So, and then at this point I'm just going to come along with a bone folder, or any object that you can press something flat with. Doesn't have to be a bone folder, it can be anything you like. Very often I use my fingernail and I run it that way along. Don't know, it's just something I did before I could afford a bone folder, to be honest. So just put your pin back in your glue. So this gives us our basic envelope. Don't stick it down to itself like I just did, but luckily enough I'm cutting that off anyway. Now, you can see where the flap loads down to. So I'm going to come in and I'm just, actually just use a bigger scissors. I'm just going to cut a wedge off there, aiming for it not to come below here. Okay, I've overshot it there, but we'll talk about that maybe another time. If you want them exactly even, just come in, pop that piece you cut off onto the other side and cut that piece again. That then gives you your envelope. Envelope, not sure how you pronounce it where you live, but that's what I use. So we've now got an envelope, and the first thing I'm going to do with this one is I am going to distress ink this one, purely because if I use these at all in this video, I'm going to make sure one is for botanical and one is for vintage. And I think this style of envelope will need a little bit of whatever this stuff's called, ink. That printer has really thrown me. It sort of worries me when technology goes wrong, because I don't actually know how to fix things. I'm very good at what I know, but only if it works and only if it does what it says on the package, you know what I mean? So there you go. So there's been some fabulous videos in this Show Some Style already. I've been trying to catch up and watch some of them. There is a playlist for them. So if you were to select the hashtag, which will be the start of my title, if you select that and look for it on YouTube, they will all come up in order, hopefully. If not, I know RachandBella Crafts, the video I'm going to link in the description box, I believe Rachel has got a whole list with all of the links to all the different YouTube contributors all the way through. So you can find it in her description box. Let's get rid of that. So as you can see, we've made an envelope. This top edge here is quite robust because we've doubled it over. It's a good little envelope. It's one that I can slide straight in. So that gives us another 2 envelopes. And then there's one other little thing I wanted to show you as far as envelopes go that you may not think of. And that's one of these. I like these little envelopes purely because these are the sort of things I can tuck into a tuck spot, anything like that. And I make them from the bigger tags. So these are just made from the kit. Now, I would say choose your tag reasonably wisely. Like this one might work because if you think that's the flap and this bit folds up. Now, I always have to decorate this part anyway because it's the reverse side. But if you've got something that looks good on the back as well. So let's have a look. Actually, let's choose this one. So just really quickly show you how I do these. These are so quick to do, but they're a nice little thing. If you've got this kit, of course, you can print it as many times as you want. So I'm just going to come in, I'm going to fold the top down just a little bit. No need to shape this one because obviously the tag shape is the shape from the envelope, for an envelope flap. I'm going to fold the bottom up, making sure that this piece is low enough. Give it a bit of a score with my fingers. Where's that glue gone? And I'm just going to put a little bit of line of glue down here. Now what we're going, one of these, it could be a ticket, a small journal card, could just be a little folded notelet, could be anything you choose to put in here. So fold it up, give it a bit of a press down, and this will be one of the first envelopes I decorate because I've got it in front of me. We're just going to show you how to complete that. I've got a little glue all over the place. So that gives me my little envelope. Pressing down the creases with a bone folder or whatever you're using will help the flap to stay closed. If you do want it to stay closed, like I've got here, I've got a little tiny butterfly on this. I've just stuck the little butterfly in place. You could easily use anything from the kit to do the same thing. If I got anything that's small enough, let's see if I've got something in here that's like a small ticket. Num 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 num. I think I want something a little firmer. I printed these on copier paper. I think I want something a little stiffer. Let's just do what I did on the other one. Let me grab a butterfly. Let's just grab, what colour is these? Let's get something like just a small little butterfly. I like to have ones with rounded wings because I tend to bend over the points on wings. Actually, that's okay. Let's use that one. There you go. He's sort of the right colours. So, again, a little bit of art glitter glue. Now, what I like to do is I tend to put the glue on the lower half of the body. Now, it's a double-sided butterfly, so I can see exactly where it needs to go. A little bit of glue on there, and then I come in and I'll pop that down so that the body is below the top edge. And then what happens, I'll show you on this one because this one's obviously gluing. You can then just slip this up or bend that and tuck it underneath. This fits wonderfully into a pocket, goes into a tuck space, could actually go into an envelope itself if you wanted to do that. So let's just put something on here because we can, why not? Let's pull in a little bit of ephemera. Do I want to go butterflies on this one? Is it too many butterflies? Let's see. There's so much fodder in one of these kits. It's lovely. I think that's a bit big for what I'm looking for. Actually, there was something in here, wasn't there? No, those are too big. I think I am going to stick with one of these, to be honest. Oh, that's cute. And one of those, maybe a little bit of a ticket. I'll put that on top. Actually, if I do that, I can take one of these, can't I? Right, we're doing that. Are you in shot? You are in shot. Right, I do have my glue book to hand. Well, actually, I've got some folded pieces of glue paper. I'll just use those for the time being. I'm going to use just a glue stick for this because it is only paper stock to paper stock. So I'll put the ticket down first because I know roughly where that needs to go. But I would sit down, have a play with these and just build yourself up some ephemera for your stash. That's what I love about digitals, is you can actually just use them time and time again and keep using them for different things. Like make different styles of ephemera from them each time. And let's just find a bit that's not gluey. Now, you can, of course, ink around the edges of everything. I tend to do that a lot, but it's not always essential to do it. It's a style thing, and that style is up to you. I'll lift this up so I can see whether it's straight. And there's my store card. Just give it a bit of a press down. Now, I didn't ink the elements, but I will come in and give this a little quick ink around the edges because it's looking a little bit pale for my liking. Am I in shot? Probably not. Now, I like this because on the back I can still see the picture. So if this was lifted out of a pocket or from a tuck spot, I've already got it ready to go. Just slip that up. That's the joy of using art glitter glue. It certainly doesn't take long to stick down. Give this a little fold, tuck it behind the wings. So there you go. So that's another way of utilizing stuff in the kit. And I'm just using these, and some of these are these are all really beautiful. I mean, just play around with which ones you like in which direction. I mean, I like some of, where are they? Like this one is absolutely, come on out, you come. This is beautiful, but there's a problem if I'm going to use it for ephemera to make an envelope. This bit would fold over fine, but then what happens to our bunny? Bunny turns upside down. If you really want the bunny the right way up, it's going to have to be at the back. So this is one that wouldn't work, but this one here would work perfectly because that would fold over as the top. That will be on the back. Doesn't matter that that's upside down because I put a label across there and it'd be fine. So have a look at things that you've already got in kits because you might be surprised how much is adaptable. Right, let's put that to one side, that to one side, pin back in the glue, and actually let's start thinking about things. Now, the envelopes in the kit are already decorated. Does that bother me? No, it does not. Because just because it's been decorated by the designer doesn't mean that you can't decorate it further. If you think of this as not the front of an envelope, but as a background, you can just build upon it. Also, we did come in and I printed off all of the extra pieces of ephemera. So, I mean, you can just add on top of it. Animated nature, I quite like that one. So I'm just going to pull in a few things that catch my eye, to be honest. Which I like that better than that. I think this one's going to be quite a neutral looking envelope. See, beautiful stuff in there. And it would fit perfectly on there. I will sit with that one though, I think. So, lots and lots of lovely stuff. See, that's lovely as well. So I tend to work in groups of 3s when I create things. So, let's put that one by the side. So, I think I want a photograph on this one. Right, let's pull in some of these photographs. Now, I find printing them onto satin or a matte photo paper, I think you'll work perfectly, is the trick with these things because they make them look real photographs. These are printed onto copier paper. They look equally as good, but I would probably urge me personally, I would use the ones that are on photo paper before I use the others. So, right. Let's see, so this one looks like it's going to be more of a vintage. This one looks like it's going to be more of a botanical to me. So if it's a botanical, I need to add some botanicals to it, obviously. Let's pull in these pieces. I love these. These are so cute. Now, to me, when I use the word botanical, it covers a very large genre of things to do with flora and fauna. Actually, I like that one better. So don't always think that it just needs to be flowers. To me, botanical means anything that is in a garden that flies, doesn't fly, crawls, creeps, grows, any of those type of things. I'm liking that, liking that, liking that. I'm thinking I need something a bit more linear now. Right, I think I'd like a ticket on this one. So I don't know why I'm going for greens with everything, but I quite like green. Probably because it's just the way I'm feeling today. This one needs something, but I don't think I want it to be a ticket. What do I want to put on here? 1, 2. So if this is vintage, vintage is sort of oldie worldy lace. I wonder whether the two photographs would be too much. Let me have a think. Now I'm trying not to use anything in my own stash. Although we are allowed to. We absolutely are allowed to. I'm just choosing not to. I want to challenge myself to see whether I can do this without dipping into that. I'm wondering whether I just use a ticket on this one as well. That will give me different heights. Right, so we've got the basis of those in there. I need something on here. I don't know whether I've got those in the right order. Sorry, I can't tell you why I do what I do. I just do it. And that's probably very unhelpful to everyone out there going, what the hell is he talking about? It's because I think when you come to create something, it's all about instincts more than anything. I'm wondering whether I want to change to one of those, actually. No, I don't. I like this. I'll stick with that one. So we've got that. I need labels. So there's no butterflies on here, but I think I could add a butterfly. So if I put that on there and put a butterfly there, I'm probably going to have to use one of my own butterflies because I want that look. Vintage. Now I thought there was a vintage label in here that actually physically said vintage. Bear with me while I have a bit of a dig through. If I don't find it, I will decide on something else. I'm absolutely certain mushroom. Leave that one out. Oh no, we've got no mushrooms, have we? So I could have sworn there was the word vintage. I remember cutting it out. Okay, maybe I've got a bit loopy. Maybe there isn't the word vintage. Tried to hit my head on you. Sorry, I think I hit my head on the camera. I'm absolutely certain I cut the word vintage out. I have no idea where I put it there. Never mind, we'll move away from that. So, right, got all of that. I wanted to find a butterfly. As I said, they did say we can use whatever we wish from our own stash. So, sorry, my butterfly box is down here because I don't have the space to put it up there. Maybe a bit bigger butterfly, actually. Nope, too big. So, have I hit my head again? No, I haven't. I have been watching the other people in the streams of their videos. There's some great pieces out. I do encourage you, please go back and look through some of the other videos. There's some absolutely lovely, that's the one right there, some absolutely lovely videos being done, lovely tutorials, all of that. So we've got that. I think that one just needs gluing together now. This one kind of isn't working for me at the moment. Let's have a look through the ephemera. Now the reason I say that is because just because it's meant to be something else doesn't mean you can't turn it into something. So have a look for words on ephemera. And all of those are the same. Like that. That is actually a label. So you know what? I'm going to cut that label off and use that one instead. So always make sure you double check the things you've got. Now this won't go to waste because the rest of this can become collage fodder. I could cut this gentleman's picture out and add it to my pictures. There you go, and that will just go over there, which is totally fine. This actually is a watch which I could have called vintage anyway. I'm just going to cut the man out while I've got him in front of me. And I'll just add that to my box of photographs. If I can cut in a straight line. So there you go. That just goes into the box of photographs. And this piece could be used somewhere else for maybe another one of the envelopes that goes into my scrap box. So I think now we've just shown that we've got some real basic skills here. And we've done some real basic stuff. But this is what it's about. It doesn't have to be rocket science to make something look absolutely wonderful. Anyone who follows me knows that for me it's all about layers and layers and layers, and I do a lot of layers, I must admit. So, but that probably comes from my mixed media love, where I do canvases and paintwork, and I do journal covers and things. It's just, I think we all just fall into what we do now. Rachel did say that she'd like us to challenge ourselves and do 2 styles that we don't normally do. I found that quite difficult, purely because I could have done shabby chic, because it's flowers and lace and stuff. It's almost vintage with lots of flowers and lace, basically. I do vintage, I do botanical. The one I don't do that often is actually steampunk. And the reason I didn't choose that is because I don't really have anything in my craft stash that would fit into steampunk. And this kit didn't have a sort of steampunk feel about it. So I steered away from that one. Call me a coward. I don't mind. Right, let's get another bit of that paper. Let's get gluing some stuff down. So it's also good to try and remember the order in which you layered your stuff down. Now, if like me, you do lots of layers, what I would suggest is always take a photograph if you've got a really pleasing display. So I'm trying to look at these while I'm looking through a camera. If you've got a pleasing display in front of you, try to make sure you photograph it, and photograph it on your phone, an iPad, anything, before you deconstruct it, because if you're anything like me, I squirrel quite easily, and by that I mean I will put stuff down, like what I see in front of me, and then the moment I go to actually reassemble it, I'll put it on a different configuration, and then I'll forget what I did in the first place. So yeah, by all means, for me, I tend to photograph stuff if it's really important that I keep it in the same orientation. I wanted that lady by there. I've got gluey fingers, so I'll touch the surface of the photograph with gluey fingers. And then this little tab can go across the bottom. Come on, stuck to my paper. Line that one up over there. So what I've done here is what I would talk about as a basic cluster. I could put something in there if something popped into my mind that would actually work perfectly. Now, if this wasn't meant to be the vintage one, I could quite easily put a flower or butterfly or another focal point in there. I could use a number, I could use anything. If I had like a little vintage typewriter or something, I could put that in there, something like that. But that to me is quite a nice little vintage envelope. Put something in it, it looks fine. Let's bring in the butterfly. Now you will note I don't have antennae on my butterflies. And a lot of that is due to the fact that I find if I fussy cut them, half the time I end up cutting them off anyway. But also, I don't really like, because the antennae are so fine, I don't like the fact that I've then got to try and cover up the white around the edges of the antennae. So what I do is I tend to actually draw the antennae on afterwards. I do know some people, because they've messaged me to let me know in previous videos, that will use a bit of black thread. I've actually been known in the past when I'm doing bigger pieces to use like flower stamens for flower making. I like using those occasionally. So especially if I'm doing things like shadow boxes or specimen boxes, because it gives me something different to look at. So I keep lifting it up because I want things to be lined up properly, but looking through the camera can offer me some difficulties, let's put it that way. And I'll probably put these back on in a different configuration than I took them off. I'm almost certain I am. But you know, that's fine. We will make it work, people. We will make it work. So I believe that all of the kits are on sale in, not on sale, are for sale in RachandBella Crafts Etsy store. I will again try to come in and do all of the links in the description box. I'm going to have to double check what is where, but yes, that's fine. So those are our first two. Now, what would I use here? So we'd just come in with a small Sharpie and just draw antennae, little bobble on the end of the antennae, little bobble on the end. Make sure it connects to the body would be a good idea, Griffiths. So there you go. That would just finish that butterfly off for me. And that gives me my first two envelopes. So well, that's my second two because I've already done these two. So that's the second two. So, right, let's see whether we can do something slightly different with these now. So let's see, it's pulling the next envelopes, which were the next, which were these two. Now, again, I'm working with envelopes that don't need decorating. All of these envelopes could be standalone, not a problem, but I just wanted to show you that you can adjust what you've already got. So, right, so we're thinking one vintage, one botanical. I like the background colour. I don't mind the wording. I don't mind the stamp. I need to do something about those little folks. So is there anything relatively plain that I can use in amongst these? Right, I wanted to use that before, didn't I? Okay, that would be almost perfect. I think the vintage one, I thought these came without a picture on them somewhere. They do. There you go. I think I want to cut that bit off there. So, right, so this will give me the base for what I'm aiming to use. Now, I could have used book page, I could use anything like that, like music paper, ledger paper. Now, this is meant to be a pocket. That's why it's got these corners on it. We're not using it as a pocket, but that doesn't mean that at some point you couldn't put a pocket onto a front of an envelope. Now, for me, this is the front of the envelope. Some people regard this as the front of the envelope. So it depends on your use for the envelope as to which area you decorate, or do you decorate both? So that's a decision only you can make. I tend to like decorating the front, to be honest with you, and to me that is the front because that's where the stamp would go. So let's bring in a bit of a glue book and put these pieces down. So I'm interested to see what the others are doing with the steampunk theme, I must admit, because as I've just said, not really. I love steampunk, but I've not been one to do steampunk. Is that level? It is now. Right. I just need to fold this page up so I don't glue on top of glue. All the pages you see me put to one side that were glue pages, they will get turned into something else, I can assure you. I mean, there are videos of mine out there where I've actually used them for making pieces of ephemera. I want that down a little bit, maybe just a little bit. Right, so I'm going to try and stick with keeping the vintage one on the right and the botanical one on the left, purely so I don't get confused. So, okay, we're already establishing like a lacy doily type background. Now, I don't own doilies. I haven't got any paper doilies. I don't know why I don't have paper doilies. I just thought this would be a perfect thing for adding to paper doilies too. So, right, so botanical. I quite like the idea of these. These are beautifully done. And I saw little ones in here that like that little one is just beautiful. I think we're going to pop him on somewhere. Now, what do we want to do on this one? I did have some lace. I've got a pile of lace here. Lace to me screams vintage. That's probably a bit too modern. This, however, isn't. I wonder whether I could just find a little bit of lace to stick out behind a photograph, because that's kind of where I'm going with this. Actually, that might work. If I can get that stuck down and maybe put a photograph on top of it. I'd like it to be a woman, but it doesn't have to be. There were vintage men back then. Isn't it funny? You flick through going, which one? Actually, she looks like she would. This lady looks like a school mom to me. I think if that goes down there, maybe cut this down just ever so slightly. I obviously keep all of these little scraps because if I make button clusters or something, I can include lace with them. If I do paper clusters, I can always use a little piece of paper, a little bit of lace within that cluster. Right, that's giving me something. I want something more behind that though. So this is where we look at the lovely backgrounds, and I find something that like that's got some script in it. Actually, why don't I use that piece? I wonder whether I'll go anything in the scrap box. Oh, it's getting dark out there. Hope it doesn't rain. Actually, let's use a bit of that because it is behind other things. Right, I'm just going to grab myself my metal ruler. Let's give this a little bit of a tear. That's not working for me for some reason. I like that. I like that. The lace just feels a little bit too big for me. Wondering whether I just want to take this corner out of here. When she goes up, can it go underneath her? This process, by the way, I know this is auditioning, which means you keep offering pieces up until they make sense to you, or they're aesthetically right for you. I quite like to have had a bit of paper doily here, to be honest, for this. As I just said, I don't have any, so I think if that goes there, that goes there, that goes there, and I'll put something down there, I'll be okay with that. Scraps back in the scrap box. Now for this one, botanical, right. Maybe I'll look at one of these labels for this one. These labels are lovely. I think I got these on, I know I got these on Etsy, but please don't ask me for a link. I have no idea. I've had these for a very, very long time. So I'm just going to come in and see if I can peel off. Wow, that was a bit of luck. I don't know. It now goes the other way. Okay, you're going on the other way then. Which means that is probably going to come over to here. Okay, it's funny, I find the botanical ones far easier to do than any of the others. Right, I wanted something that says floral, fronds. Oh, foliage. That's not foliage. Like something that hasn't got a butterfly on it as well, because there's already butterflies on there. Flora. I can cut that little flower off, I think. Don't be afraid to adapt to the stuff you have, guys. Don't be afraid whatsoever to cut and chop it all around. At the end of the day, it's yours. You do what you like with it. Ooh, let's take that plastic covering out of the way. Well, I think when that goes across there, I'll like that. Like that even better. This still needs something, and I don't know what it is. I mean, I would not shy away from putting something like a flower onto vintage anyway, but I would probably reach for a rose for some reason. Let's just see if I can find one of these tickets. There are so many tickets in the ephemera kit, so many tickets, which is wonderful. It's looking a bit wishy-washy, but I like that colour. Like that colour even better. Okay, right, let's pop that up there. Right, just a little bit of inking. Inking while you're thinking. Or as my friend Gail Augustinelli would say, ink and think. Gosh, that weather is getting dark out there. I've left filming until later in the day because in the sun, when the sun is up, my desk is in full sun, which is wonderful and I love it. However, it casts shadows and I usually film in the afternoon, but of course I've waited and now it looks like it's getting dull and overcast, which is not a good idea for me. Right, we're going to have to use some different sorts of glues on this one, so let's just get on with sticking this one down with our normal glues, because this is not going to be a problem. I use Pritt Stick, Pritt being this brand, for no other reason than it's the one that's easily attainable for me. I enjoy this brand. I always use this brand. I'm quite heavy with my glue. I've never had problems with things coming off. I know some people are a little reticent to use glue sticks because they go, oh, it'll come off in time. I haven't found that, but as I said, I'm not really living your life. I'm not dealing with your humidity. I'm not dealing with anything you're dealing with. Do you see what I mean about that? Just make sure I've got this where I need it to be. Right, I think we're going to have to put a little bit of Fabri-Tac behind this lace. Now, I tend to put a little bit of Fabri-Tac down, lid back on top, and I usually use my little finger to smear it out a bit. Why my little finger? Purely because if I use one of my other fingers, guess what? I am very likely to have a problem because I'll use my finger that's got glue on it to pick something else up. Right, I wanted this next, didn't I? Let's put this over the top of this. Wonder whether it's that diagonal line that's bothering me. Maybe I tear that straighter. It's funny because when you look at something, you don't always know what it is that bothers you unless you've rectified it. Which is a weird thing to say, but I usually find the instant I've changed something, I go, oh, that was what was wrong with it. I'll pull this down to me because I need to see where I'm going to put this. And that will trap the bottom of the lace, which is also not a problem. Now, I'm not going to use art glitter glue on the back of the photograph. I went to Harry Potter World a couple of years ago. I'm going again this year, actually. And the ticket that I had to get into Harry Potter, I stuck it into my journal because I have a Harry Potter journal. I haven't done a lot in it because I haven't caught up on all my journaling. However, the next time I looked at it, the glue had actually destroyed the ticket. So I think that the ticket must have been like a thermal printed one or something, and there was something in the chemical that destroyed the back of the ticket that then came through, and basically the ticket just ended up looking burnt, which I was a bit upset at that because of course you can't get another ticket unless you go back, and guess what? I'm going back this year. Just like that in there. Press that down a bit. Right. Do I like those? Do I call them finished? Yes, I do actually, because every envelope you make, it's a piece of ephemera. It's going to be on a page that's fully decorated, or it's going to have a tuck spot that it goes into. It's just, I like envelopes that are decorated, but they don't have to be mega decorated for me. This one is cute. It looks like it needs something up there though. I wonder whether I've got a word in my own collection. Bear with me a second. Let's see, I've got stamped words. I've got some stamped words. Basically, these are just the offcuts of pages that I've rubber stamped words and sayings onto, and I do this a lot. Keep smiling. That's a bit cheeky, isn't it? Because she looks like the last thing she's ever done in her life is smile. Wisdom. Lady, you look as if you're wise. Let's put wisdom on there. So I've just used the edges of book pages, offcuts of coffee dyed paper, anything like that, and I just stamp words onto them, and that makes some lovely labels. And the labels are free. All it's taken me or cost me is a little bit of time and effort to do it. Let's grab another one of these sheets. I'm okay to use Pritt stick on this. And I think if I can tuck this slightly under, that will should be up a bit further. I think it needs to be over there, to be honest. My fingers are filthy. It's all the glue. And a little bit of a press down. Okay, so that gives me the other envelope. Again, it's not too bulky. The trouble is, if you make things with all these embellishments on and you're trying to slide it into something, you don't want something like, if I'd have put the lace down there, it would have caught every time I went in and out of a pocket. So that's another one done. Let's just wipe my fingers off a second. Let's do one more. Let's do the envelopes we made. Okay, so let's do the obvious. Let's make that the vintage and this botanical. So, botanical, let's see. Pity that's not a bit smaller, because I would have harvested that off there. Just having a quick look through. Always look through the ephemera, guys. Just because it's shaped like a tag doesn't mean it has to be a tag. It could be a pocket, it could be a tuck spot, it could be in anything like that you wanted it to be. Actually, that's quite cute, but it's not what I was looking for. Let's have a little bit of a look through here. So, that's quite cute. Can you see me? You can-ish. Right, see, I could actually put, if that didn't have a chick on it, which makes me think of Easter, then these by because I've used these already. Actually, I've had a thought. There's that bit of vintage clock. I wonder, let's just cut the clock face out, but I'm not going to cut out the top half of it. If I had a round punch this size, I'd just round punch this out. Something could stick up there. It's the worst fussy cutting job I've ever done, Griffiths. Just a little bit rounder. Okay, that could stay up there. I can go back into the box. Right, I'm looking for, I don't know where I've put them. Oh, there they are. I was looking for these. These are the smaller versions. I quite like the idea of these. I loved this pattern. I made one of the big envelopes out of that pattern. I think that might be where we're going with that one. This one, however, seems to be stumping me at the moment. No, I quite like the clock face in there. Curious and curious. Why can't I get this one going? I'm looking for some. Oh, I know. Right. Let's cut that off. It's sat right next to me on the desk. And I'm like, why didn't I look at that in the first place? So I was looking at these, wasn't I? I think that would make a lovely little pocket and put a little tag in there. Because if I stick this down as an envelope, I'm not going to be able to use that. So I think that needs to go in there. I want something down the side of it. This is off one of the pieces as well. Give this a bit of a tear. So I encourage you guys, watch what everyone's been doing in this challenge. As I said, they're not challenge. Yes, collaboration. Shouldn't really use the word challenge, should I? There's some wonderful ideas out there. They've done some wonderful things. Just watch through, but make sure you've got a notepad with you. Because if you're anything like me, unless you write it down, you're never going to remember it. That doesn't stick out enough for me. This one's bothering me. I'm going to do this one before I do that one because for some reason this one is working for me and the other one isn't. Right, just a really quick catch the edges to cover the white bits. Especially on that thing. Right, where are we going on this? Am I shot? I am in shot. It needs to be about there. Let's glue this piece down. So thank you very much, Rachel, for inviting me to do this yet again. It was lovely. It's always lovely to collaborate and be slightly challenged to do things I don't normally do, or do things in a different way, or as most people know, I'm not a huge user of digital kits. There's elements I buy that are digitals, like, I usually buy butterfly kits. I tend to buy label kits often as well, purely because they're things I use a lot of. But I tend to not really use a lot of digital backgrounds. And I don't know why, actually, because I really like them. I think it's probably because my subscribers normally want to see me create things and not just use backgrounds. And I think there are so many talented journal makers out there who use digitals that I don't feel I have anything different to offer those people, offer than what the people already got. Right, I like this. We haven't used a man, have we? I like using photographs with the vintage one. Now there's the guy that was on. Let's put him on there. He originally was part of that anyway. He was the man that was on with the clock, remember? So I've taken one piece of ephemera and turned it into two pieces of ephemera. Oh, stick that down. Where's that glue gone again? Now, my method of working normally is I'm very much production line. And by that I mean I will spend a day just making batches of things, because I like to add things to my ephemera box, and then when I come round to making stuff, I just have to go into the ephemera box and there it is done. Right, I think you need a label, but we're going to dip into this one next. Right, I do like that. I do like that. I want some book page, I think. I want something that's going to stand out, though, up against, because it's quite a busy background that we've got going there. Leave that one to one side. That might do something. So that's too pale for me. That's got flowers. If put flowers on top of flowers, I'm never going to see the flowers, am I? I think I'm just going to reach for some regular book page, because I'm conscious the clock is ticking and I don't want to take forever to do this. Right. Even that doesn't look right. I've got a piece of ledger. Ledger would do me. Let's take the top of that off. It goes into the scraps. Let's take that off there. Let's get a bit of colour on this. The old glue book. Now, I don't know whether I mentioned it, but actually RachandBella Crafts are local to me. I mean, they're not a million miles away. I want to say I could be at Rachel's place probably within about half an hour's drive. It's nice to be supporting local. I like that. That's wonderful. Right, I really do like that there. So am I on screen? I feel like I'm off screen there. Still liking that, but I'm still lacking something. That's too plain. Actually, is that the better one? And that slides in there. No. But I like that. I like that one there. That's actually, it should be this bit, not that bit. And it would help if it was the right way up. So if I can just darken the edges of this up a little bit, they look just a little bit pale and lost on that background. I've got an idea. At last, they all say. Right, punch time. Let's see if I've got a piece of card that I really would like. It's something like this. I'd quite like to be able to get the A. Not sure that the A is exactly what I wanted, but I like the round. I'm not sure the colour was the right colour. Actually, I could take a piece of a botanical out, couldn't I? How? That's an option. Well, that's an even better option. I just took the top edges of this off. Sorry, I'm talking away to myself here, I know, but it's just my thought process. I think that's what I want. Let's put that to one side just in case it crops up and I go, oh, I do need that one. A little bit of ink around here. Bring the glue back in. Don't glue it on top of the other glue section. Things don't look straight to me today. Right, so that's almost done, and this is almost done. This needs a label. Oh, do you see the rookie mistake? I stuck it upside down. Ooh. And that's the reason why I like using this glue and not art glitter glue for this, because I would never have been able to peel it off. How many of you were shouting at me, Ceri, it's upside down? Now, I quite like these little labels or sayings. Let's see what they say. We are the dreamer of the dreams. So I hit my head on you again, didn't I? You are fearful and wonderfully made. He has made everything beautiful and tight. Oh, there is always something to be thankful for. There is always something to be thankful for. I completely and utterly agree with that. I think that's what's going to go on there, because I like the blue that goes with that. Catch the edges of this again. I have stuff all over the place now. I have so many comments of people saying, Ceri, you're always so neat, everything's so tidy. You have no idea what this place looks like once I've finished filming. I have to tidy up, because I can't tidy up, I can't leave the room. I can't move. Right, okay, I'm liking that. That one's done. This one still needs a something. I wish I knew where I saw that word vintage. It's just really annoying me, because I swear there was a word vintage. So bear with me, because I'm just going to do one last search through here. I could have sworn, have I used the word vintage already on something? It's probably... I'm sorry, I keep hitting this with my glasses. To be able to get this close to my work, I've got to have the iPad quite low down. All the words, I swear I saw a vintage in here somewhere. I know what's going to happen. The moment I start filming, I'm going to find the word vintage. I want a word in there. I'm going to use one of mine, I think. Let's see. Oh, no, Della Llywelyn. There you go. Merry Christmas in Welsh. I don't think that's going to work there, though. I don't know. I don't know. I'd say that was Nature Heals the Soul. What does this say? An unhurried sense of time is in itself a form of wealth. I think that's perfect for there. Do I feel unhurried? No, I don't feel unhurried. I feel considerably hurried. I think this whole printer thing has just really thrown me off my steps, should we say? Isn't it funny how, I don't know whether you're the same as me, but when something that always works one day doesn't work, it just throws you. And upside down with the words again, Griffiths. That's smooth. Right, I think we're going to call that finished. We didn't get to all the envelopes, but I would say, if I can see the timer, we're past an hour already. I have no idea where that hour went. I think I must have talked a lot in the beginning of the video. So, vintage, botanical. Vintage, botanical. These were just the two little ones I made. I would say they probably both sit, well, that could easily be botanical because she's on there. Let's call that vintage and she's a flower collector. Botanical, vintage. And then we had all of the other envelopes from the kit. So guys, please pop over, take a look, check out all of the other videos. Grab yourself one of these kits. There's great, the backgrounds are lovely. The family is the one that's got all of the look like cabinet cards within them. Then there's a Welsh ephemera kit, which is an add-on to it, where you'll find lots of the other language labels and stuff like that. Also all of the things, I can't find them, I put them on the floor somewhere, like those cards I was using that were written in Welsh and had Welsh references. There's also the background kit there, and the botanical labels as well. There were lots and lots of envelopes in the kit. I was really happy, and they came in various different sizes. I like an envelope. We also made envelopes, and these were the envelopes I collaged using the papers from the kit, and these could easily be decorated up, and they're a nice, once you've collaged onto a regular junk journal, junk envelope or spam envelope, you'll find they become really quite solid, and I like those. Those were a hefty piece of ephemera. So hopefully you've loved that, guys. As I said, I'll put as much information in that information box description below the video as I possibly can. Thank you, RachandBella, for the invite, and I'll see you soon. Actually, I'll see you at the retreat. I can't remember, is it May or June? I think it's June. I'll see you in June. Okay, so I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time, bye-bye now.